Happy? Good. With Chris Locke.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Happy Good, episode 27. Yes, 27 episodes. That's a lot. 27 is the exact amount of people on the planet. Well, so this is good. I'm starting off in a bad mood, so we got to switch it up. 2 days ago, I lost 2 pounds and felt great and put on a shirt I hadn't worn in forever. And today I just checked and the 2 pounds are back. Why did I have a cheat day and eat a delicious chicken madras Indian roti plus 5 little tiny vegetable pakoras? Why did I do that? It's okay. You gotta treat yourself, right? Drink lots of water. I'm also in a bad mood because I woke up first thing in the morning and went on Twitter and think everybody is stupid. And that's not a nice way to be. But Twitter and social media does that to your brain. So let's eradicate it. Let's get in there and devastate the brain. Just annihilate it. Get down! That's a platoon of army men attacking your brain. Get down! G.I. Joe! Anyways, yeah, because what the hell? I'm gonna eradicate it and get to a nice, fuzzy, wuzzy place, like Fuzzbo. Let's go to a nice place together and have fun and get loose and relax and feel good. But the reason why I'm honest about that stuff off the top is because I know that y'all can relate. Y'all bought a scale recently, right? An electronic scale. And you stand on it 3 times a day and go, what the hell? There is no actually... Maybe that's a good lesson. There is actually no defined solid weight of our body. It fluctuates so drastically. You can weigh yourself and be like, oh no, I'm in trouble. I got heavy, and then you pee for about 5 minutes and the pee won't stop. And you're like, where the hell did you come from? And then the pee, sorry to be crass, but the pee talks to you and goes, we come from over 2,000 milligrams of sodium. And you're like, what? And then you go back on the scale and you've lost 2 pounds and you're like, is that my new diet? I just pee all the time? What am I talking about? If this is too crass for you, please write me at Happy Good World on Twitter and go, no. The Calm app doesn't talk to me like that. The Headspace app doesn't talk to me like that. The Noom app doesn't talk to me like that. Yeah, well, I'm not an app, I'm like Chris Locke, comedian, talking to you for a half hour once a week. You're lucky. These are half-hour comedy albums that are only kind of all right, maybe? I don't know. So, but you know what? I respect you, so write me at Happy Good World on Twitter and go, what the hell was that, man? Okay, so let's unwind. I need to unwind, as you can tell. And I want to think of some nice things, and I want to get creative, and, as creative as I get on this podcast. Probably talk about something orange. Probably talk about softness and water. Yeah, floating in the sky, disappearing, turning into a mist. We're going to do all that stuff. But first, let's take some deep breaths and really reset and clean out that brain. Do some nice autumn breeze cleaning. Let the orange, reds, pinks, and yellow foliage, the dead leaves blow through the chambers of our mind like old haunted ruins up on a hill, just we stumble across old haunted ruins and you go, huh? what did this place used to be? Some sort of castle? And then the leaves blow through the chambers of where the family of the old castle used to walk. The mother, the bride, and the long sort of wispy negligee blowing in the breeze with the leaves. And you see her for a second, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a person here. And then she disappears and the leaves blow. Let's do that. Let's get a nice autumn haunted, spooky breeze blowing through the chambers of our mind and just clearing it out. But maybe that is maybe a haunted house is, maybe I don't know this, maybe I'm a basic bee, as they say, and I don't really get that haunted houses are maybe metaphors for our mind. As much as you try to be like, jazz it up, like, look, I put new wallpaper on, we changed this room into a solarium. It doesn't matter, the ghosts and from the past and the haunted negative energies of times gone by still haunt you, and you get away from me, ghost. And calling the Ghostbusters is like, I don't know, calling a therapist. Therapy. Okay, so let's take some deep breaths in. 3 deep breaths. I'm going to count down from 3, and then we'll start. Just a long inhale through the nose, and then exhale out the mouth. Get all of those haunted, negative feelings of pain and horror and terror and bitterness and cynicism and all this kind of like, yeah. Let's blow it out. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Inhale through the nose deep, like, oh yeah, feel those lungs expand. And then blow it out. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Let's do another inhale through the nose. Deep, really push your lungs out. Exhale. The irony is when I say let's push your lungs out, I actually lose some of my lung capacity because I try to tell you that. But I want you to do it. I love the idea of, when these old mystical monks and drifting poets in the ancient times of China, they would like go to a mountain and just sit there forever and barely even move, and their breaths would just like make their lungs expand so wide, and I don't know, what do you want to, like, ginormous lungs, like fill every aspect of the lungs, and they'd just be sitting there doing tiny little barely movements. It's like, well, I took a Zen meditation class once here and I watched the teacher do it, and I was like, you're barely moving, man. But it's hard for us to do that because we'll sit down and actually try to just meditate or do like a big deep breathing exercise, and you will see how much tension and how constricted your lungs really are. Something to motivate you to even, you don't have to be like, I have a meditation practice. You can just be like, I need to take a moment out of deep breathing, or out of the day to do deep breathing, just to keep my lungs like fully excited about life, fully expand them and use them all. We're going to do one more, and this deep breath in is going to be, I'm trying to think of a word, the lung flexulator. This deep breath that we inhale through our nose is going to be the mega lung flexulator. It'll expand the lungs out so much you will feel it Feel them spread like wings beneath your rib cage. Just every, I've used this before, nook and cranny of the dang lungs get filled with fresh air from wherever you are. Okay, here we go. Last inhale. Ready? Through the nose. And exhale. Yeah. It literally changes you to a better person, a different person. You can feel all of that erratic, sort of hyper static nonsense disappearing. It's like cleaning, I don't know, I don't want to say cobwebs, because if there's any spiders listening, I don't want you to get upset. I'm sorry about all those times brooms have disturbed your rest. But it's really like, it's like tuning in the radio and the dial is in between stations. Yeah, I'm going to use a tuning in on the radio thing. But it still happens. People still listen to the radio in the car or whatever, or when they're drinking their morning coffee and having one runny egg. Well, you know, it's in between stations, so you hear the newscaster going like, people are jerks everywhere, but it's also like, you know, a layer of 3 different types of fuzz over top, like, that's what your brain is like most of the time. And then when you do like a deep breathing kind of meditation thing, all of a sudden the channel gets clear again. It's like, and then they found a bathing suit floating all by itself. I don't know what that news story was about. Hopefully it's just about a missing bathing suit and not anything else. But you catch my drift. So, yeah, I don't know. It's autumn. It's mid-October for us here. I don't know when you're listening to this episode, but I've been really into, obviously, ghost stories, horror stories. Like, look at that painting. The face is disgusting. I can't bear to look at it, uncle. You know, weird stuff like that. I love that stuff. Creepiness. Like, what should we do with the body? We have to hide it, because if we call the cops, they just won't understand. It was an accident. Cops never understand accidents. You know, all kinds of great hooks and stories and things that happen. So I'm in that kind of mood, but I don't know if you can talk about horror and make it relaxing. I don't know. Should I try? Should this be the horror relaxing episode? Halloween? Here we go. Picture, of course, one of the most relaxing ideals in the whole world, kind of pretty much wherever you go. Ooh, by the way, don't watch the South Korean horror movie from 2016 called The Wailing. Gosh darn, is that freaky and scary and awesome. Because, you know, when I'm saying don't watch it, watch it. But I gotta do a little warning. Woo! I love it. There's some good stuff being made. There's Mike Flanagan's shows on Netflix are good. The haunted house ones. He really gets ghost stories. He's a good guy. Who else is that? American stuff. The Insidious guy is always good. The Conjuring is one of the scariest movies I ever saw. The guy who made The Witch and The Lighthouse is awesome. Ari Aster is awesome, who did Midsummer and, of course, Hereditary. Those are dang scary. Why am I saying this? Check out The Wailing. Oh, yeah, because this is what it reminded me of. So, yeah. I love all these crazy new South Korean movies, too. They got such an incredible industry over there. lucky ducks. I'm in Canada. I think we make movies here. Maybe like 3 a year? No, more than that. 5. But, so here we go. I obviously got a bit of the negativity in me, and I'm trying to get it out. But what worldly accepted as the most ideological, relaxing place, a cabin in the woods. Thick forest and a mountain around it and a little stream. And you're up there and you enter the cabin and you're all alone. Creaky door, creaky floors. It hasn't been used in a long time. Only the bare essentials are there. There's a hot wood stove that you can boil a pot on. You got your long john set on. You're like an old gold miner or something, gold, not miner, but yeah, mining for gold, whatever, those prospector. It's like one of those old days. You're an old prospector who's kind of gone on their own, and you drift through different really uncharted territories, really like brand new. It's about 200 years ago or something, maybe about 150 years ago, and you're in these new territories, and it's quiet. And like I said, you take off your big heavy pants and you take off your big heavy jacket and you hang it up, and you've got that long john suit on, the one with the flap and the bum. And you got a big bushy beard and a big floppy toque kind of winter hat. I don't know why toque is Canadian. It should be worldwide. It's such a good word for the type of hat. Just an aside, in brackets, can I ask my listeners, should I grow a beard back or what? I shaved recently and I'm clean shaven, but I got some stubble, but I don't know. What do you think? Sometimes there's comfort in hiding your face behind a big bushy beard. Anyways, you're in this cabin. If you tuned in, by the way, for a guided meditation, it's not fully happening yet, is it? But at least you're relaxing, you're hearing some information, whatever. And the music of Drew Smith is always amazing. So I'm not really getting into it, but this is still one of my favorite episodes so far. 27. So you're in this cabin, and the wind is blowing against the walls, through the cracks of the walls. Obviously, this is like an old log cabin, okay? So it's sometimes, they do a good job of sealing the logs together, but of course it's old, so there's cracks and cricks and creaks, and, little gusts are coming in here, like little air holes and pockets, and little mouse scurries across the floor, and there's kind of an old metal posted bed with just no mattress, or like a little mattress, but no box spring, just springs attached to the metal frame. And so, those classic cabin beds where you sit on it and the springs go squeaky, 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 and you can feel your butt sink down. And you light the fire of the wood stove, and it heats up the place really nice, and it has a nice glow against the walls. And there are cobwebs in the corners that you see. And you hear weird noises outside, like the wind. And it makes like the crickly arms of the branches of the trees turn into like crickly, sort of crooked skeleton arms, like tap, tap, tapping on the side of the wall, like tick, 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 tick. And you hear like almost like the sound of a snout sniffing. You put like, okay, because you put a pot, you're boiling a pot, and you put some eggs in the pot to hard boil, and you got half of a big crusty loaf of bread that you unwrap, and you got maybe like a quarter of a piece of cheese that you just put out, and you're gonna have cheese and eggs and bread, protein, dairy, grains. It's the best you can do in these cold, weird times of drifting along. But you hear this like almost like a snout or like some sort of like sniffing, big like outside the cabin, and you're like, that's definitely because I've unveiled some food and the scent is in the air, and all right, that's reasonable. And you go over to the door, you get up off of the bed that you're sitting on, and you go over to the door to make sure that the latch is down, so whatever's out there can't bust in and steal your food, And right before you get to the door blasts open from a blast of wind. The wind enters the cabin hard, just blowing fierce, ferocious wind blasting throughout the cabin. And the door flaps against the wall. And you go and, my God, there's some kind of storm out there. And then you stop in the door frame before closing the door, and you really look at all of this dark sort of, early evening kind of, just you got a huge view of a valley below you with lots of trees and the dark clouds, gray sky, and it's almost like, this is really creepy. I'm all alone out here. But there's something about it that the creepiness is even satisfying. It's like, this is real planet Earth, This is the good stuff. Like, human beings alone against nature, against the elements. And, you just see leaves blowing by in the autumn times, and you see just clouds moving fast. Clearly there's a storm brewing. The wind is blowing. Trees are blowing back and forth hard. And you're just standing there like, yep, this whole planet, this forest even that I'm in, it feels like big gusts of wind is the planet breathing. Like, I am in the planet's lungs right now. Like, this breeze just circulating around actually feels like the planet itself is doing big, like it's doing a deep meditation process. It's doing deep inhales, like, and exhales. And I am just this kind of like micro, what's it called? Just like some sort of, I am like some sort of micro, what's it called? Write me out Happy Good World and give me a science dictionary. Bioorganic, like minuscule little, molecule in the planet's lungs. Like, I'm here witnessing something greater than me, something more giant. Hold on a sec. Microorganism. Okay, so I never do that. I never try to I've never paused the podcast to go and ruin the stream of consciousness flow. But I drank a lot of tequila the other night, and I think it slows down my brain, obviously, and puts these stops in it. And I needed to know the word. I was making it more complicated. I kept wanting to say microbioorganism, or it's really just a microorganism. So do you get what I'm saying? You're like this microorganism in the planet's lungs, experiencing how they work. You're standing there in your long johns with a button unbuttoned, so half the butt flap is showing, Your little butt cheek is sticking out, and you're looking at the giant breeze wisp through a massive forest, and you're watching the trees go back and forth like and suddenly around the corner you see the sniffing snout of what it was, the food, and it's just a big old plump raccoon. It wasn't like a demon, it wasn't a ghoul, it wasn't anything freaky like that. Watch The Wailing though, 2016 South Korean movie. Oh my gosh, you'll lose it. If you have seen it, tweet me at Happy Good World and tell me all about it. Tell me how freaked you got. I'm gonna rewatch it today. But it's a raccoon, so you go in, you leave the door open because you're like, well, I'm not gonna stop marveling at this wonderful sort of dark moment in the autumn happens every year, and then winter happens every year, and we're lucky in Canada we get a really well-defined version of each season. And I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world. You might clearly get clear definitive seasons as well, but just in a different sense. But we really watch in Canada, we really watch the trees, basically like everything, the foliage, we watch it die and disappear. And then for about I'm being like generous by saying 4 months, but really it pretty much feels like 6 months. We watch these really cold, stark, naked trees freeze, and there's no leaves on them, no life, and we really experience a sort of death season, which is the winter. As we know, Game of Thrones so greatly illustrated that with winter is coming, death is coming, coldness, bleakness. But the thing is the coldness and the dark and the fright, the terror, the horror, it's got its own natural beauty because we are microorganisms tossed around in this cycle of birth, life, death, over and over again, and it's 100% natural. So what is there to be afraid of? It's actually a dark and stormy night, just like tonight, is actually very beautiful. Even if a storm does come, and the clouds get really dark and they make the sky extremely dark, and the lightning crashes close to you and the rain pours down in like a intense downpour and splatters on everything and seals you up in that little cabin in the woods, and before you close the door you break off a little nub of cheese and you throw it in the direction of the raccoon, and the raccoon runs away and gets to eat cheese before it also finds shelter in the storm. And you close the door and seal it up, and you huddle and you sit on that old metal frame bed with the springs comfy on your butt, and you stay warm and you watch as the fire from the wood stove flickers shadows across the room as the dark storm beats the crap out of the roof and the sides of the cabin, which is strong enough to hold you. Little bit of wind, little bit of dampness comes in, some water comes in through the side there, but you're okay, you're warm, you got your big warm boots on, you got the fire, you got your piece of bread, you got your eggs. And it's scary because you're all alone and it's pitch black dark night and the wind is just screaming at you. And it sounds like all of the gods ever invented from human time are yelling at you and beating the ground around you with their fists and trying to scare you off the planet. But there's something so natural and beautiful about that it makes you stronger and makes you feel alive and wonderful. And that's where I'm going to leave it now, because I like that Halloween-y theme, darkness, the scariness. I'm really a big fan of that kind of stuff. And it's nothing to feel ashamed of. You know, it's kind of interesting to find a way of sort of calming down, relaxing, and meditating, and finding a kind, nice, happy place to go in the darkness, in the thrill of it all. The thrill of darkness coming, surrounding us. It's natural. You know, death and decay and rebirth. It's all natural. It's comfortable. It's fun. And that's why we get off so much on horror movies, and Halloween has become its season unto itself. All of October is Halloween, basically. So thanks so much for listening. Listen, this is called Happy Good, but I really appreciate and love you guys for checking it out. But if you don't pass it on and tell people about this podcast, and you don't review it and rate it on iTunes and wherever else you can rate and review podcasts, and beef it up and tell everybody, hey, look, this is the best. This is a really great, relaxing, funny podcast. Then I'm going to change the name of this podcast to Grumpy Bad. And we will definitely go into the darkness more, because I don't know, I'm just trying to be funny. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do that if you want. But if you want to rate and review, I would appreciate that. I have a Patreon. I got a new interview coming up that's coming out, and I'm going to record a nighty night any minute now to help you go to sleep. And it won't be scary. It'll be nice and cozy. Coz-woes. And then also at Happy Good World on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm Chris Locke World on Twitter and Chris Locke Fun on Instagram. And coming very, very, very soon, maybe in a few days even, is a brand new mini album that is horror themed by me and comedian Sean Cullen, called Chris and Sean, Our Tony and Keith in Horror. And it's 3 long tracks of us being super funny, and it's one of my most favorite things I got to make in the last little while. We laughed so hard, and working with Sean is one of my favorite things to do. So keep an eye out for that on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, wherever you stream stuff. It'll be out. Chris and Sean are Tony and Keith in Horror. I'm really excited. So thanks so much for checking it out again. You guys are the best, and I'll talk to you later. Go outside, go outside in the darkness this time. You know, wait till it's evening, it's crisp out, get the breeze blowing. Go out and just hug a tree, put your face up against it, and look at the big, round, bright moon illuminating everything, and howl at it like a werewolf. Arr! I'm a doggy. I'm a doggy. Thanks. Bye.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.